And Dasrath was so much in grief, and he was like suffering with pain. And there was one karma in his life that we know. When he went on hunting and he was able to shoot his arrow on the basis of the sound, he killed Shravan Kumar. And when he had killed Shravan Kumar, his parents cursed him that you will also die when your no sons will be in front of you, and out of grief, just as we are dying. One deed that he had performed during his life out of ignorance, it was not performed purposefully, it was performed ignorantly. But that one deed also, he had to pay for it. One action does not allow him to enjoy his blissful life. And he is so much in pain and agony, completely disempowered, and the prisoner of his own senses, the prisoner of his own specialities. So just imagine, knowingly or unknowingly, how many such bad deeds we have performed during our lives, and how much we will have to pay the price for it. One example is given of Dasrath's life to awaken our consciousness that do not perform knowingly whatever you are doing it knowingly. Otherwise, in the end, you will have to pay the price for it. You will have to suffer. You will have to go into that grief. And you will become the prisoner of your own deeds. So be cautious while performing karmas. The depths of karma philosophy is shown here in the life of King Dasrath. But what could he do? And this is how he left his body. A self-serving soul, but his end was such. So just imagine what would happen to the ordinary human beings who knowingly and unknowingly are performing so much bad actions. And when the three leave, they leave on a tapasya. Here, the Supreme Father Shiva also tells us, now die from the old sanskaras, from the old actions, forget them. Take a new birth, and this spiritual birth, let it be of tapasya. Then only the wisdom, purity and renunciation will be maintained in life. So when the three proceed, and as they go further, they meet Nishad Raj. Nishad Raj was also a king of a small community. And he arranges for them to go beyond on the further journey. The boat was taken of Guhu. The boatman's name was Guhu. And this Guhu takes him over, helps them to cross the river. Now here it is the story when the Supreme Father comes on this earth. Who is the embodiment of wisdom, the embodiment of purity, and the embodiment of renunciation? God Father has nothing to call of himself, although he is the master of the complete universe still. But when he comes, he takes the boat of Guhu. Guhu means a grahastha. Grahastha means a householder. So Brahma Baba is a householder. And he takes his boat to take us across from this world to the other world. From this world, Kali Yuga, to Satyuga. So we have to cross this river from Kali Yuga to Satyuga, and for that the Supreme Being descends in the body of an ordinary grahasthi, and taking his boat, he takes us all across. And he tells us to inculcate the spirituality, wisdom, purity, and renunciate the consciousness, ego. So when he helps us to cross this salty channel, we would say, it is shown in the scriptures that Ram wanted to give him some fare, and for that he took out his ring and was trying to give it to the Guhu, the boatman. But the boatman, what did he say? I do not want it here. Give me there. So after crossing this world, I do not want the fare to be received in this Kali Yuga. But if you really want to give me or pay for the fare, then give me in golden age. This is how Brahma Baba also takes the fare of giving his boat on a rent to Lord Shiva, the Supreme Ram, and claims the inheritance of the golden age. And this is how they were crossed. When they cross Ganga and they go to the Triveni Sangam. So this age is known as Sangam Yuga. And in this auspicious age of Sangam, as they move further, they meet sage, the holy sage Bhardwaj. And when they meet Bhardwaj at the Sangam, he advises them that you should go to Chitrakoot. The three move further towards Chitrakoot, and as they were staying there, building their small hut, leading a life of renunciation, that is where Bharat, who was away to his uncle's home, when he returned to Ayodhya, he became aware of what had happened. So immediately he could not stay without wisdom. Dedication can never stay without wisdom. So he immediately rushes to Chitrakoot, that I'll bring wisdom again from the jungles. I cannot stay without him. So he goes to bring Sri Ram, or bring wisdom back to Ayodhya, that you cannot leave Ayodhya just because of the bad company. No, you come back. But it is said that Sri Ram was on a mission. He had come, or he had taken birth for a purpose on this world. So similarly, each one of us has come to this world for a purpose. And let us not forget the purpose of life, why we are here. And let us not be drawn into the attachments of somebody, but be constantly aware of why we are on this world. And this is how, after long persuasion, Bharat agrees. And as the command he takes from the Lord, he feels it is the command of the Supreme and I should follow him. But he says, I will not rule the kingdom, I'll just be the representative. Because he's a dedicated soul. So a dedicated soul can never come into the ego consciousness of I and mine. So he is beyond the feeling of I and mine. And then he agrees to rule the kingdom on his behalf. And that is when he takes the slippers of Rama. When he takes the slippers of Sri Rama and puts it on his head and worships, saying that he will follow the footsteps of Sri Rama in ruling the kingdom also. And each and every footstep that was followed by Sri Ram on the basis of wisdom will be at his head. Whenever we agree to follow the command of anybody, what would we say? Sir mathe. Aapki agya sir mathe. Your command is obeyed. So this is why it is shown that he put the slippers on his head to follow each and every step based on wisdom only. And this is how he goes back. When he goes back, it is shown that these three, they move forward. And as they move forward, they meet great saints like Atri Rishi and Sati Ansuya. Atri is the personification of truthfulness. There are such sages in this world, the holy souls like Dadis. They are the embodiment of truth. They do not know how to manipulate anything in this world. They are so innocent and pure at their hearts. They are the embodiment of truthfulness. And Sati Ansuya, the embodiment of faithfulness. They grant them and adorn them with the divine powers. Sati Ansuya granted Sita the divine clothes and the divine ornaments. The divine clothes symbolizes that the consciousness, the new consciousness that we also receive on the basis of spirituality. So this consciousness of the body is removed and we adorn ourselves with those ornaments of knowledge, and we adorn ourselves with the dress of spirituality. And this is how they move further, and as they move further, they reach Panchavati. Panchavati is a place where there is so beautiful atmosphere, and so they stay there. But this is where Suparnakha, the sister of Ravana, that is the embodiment of lust and desire, she comes. So in human being's life, the first test paper that we have to cross is that of breaking ego, breaking the bow. The second test paper that we have to cross is bad company. The influence of bad company. Always protect yourself from bad company. Protect yourself from ego, protect yourself from bad company. And the third is adorn yourself with the spiritual dresses. Otherwise, desire and lust will not leave you. So desire and lust tried to influence Ram first. Wisdom. But when wisdom and purity were hand in hand with one another, how can Sri Ram be influenced by Suparnakha? The beauty of Suparnakha. So he is not influenced. And he says, you can try Lakshmana. This was another test paper for Lakshmana also. So Lakshman, when she goes to Lakshman, who was the embodiment of renunciation, how can he be attracted? So he disfigures Suparnakha. And when she is disfigured, they conquer her. She goes running to her brothers. And her brothers are Khar and Dushana. Khar and Dushana means, Dushan means Dush Pravritti. Wrong actions and pride. The evil that is in them. So when they see that their sister is being disfigured, insulted, so they go on a war with wisdom and renunciation. So as they try to win them in the battle, pride and evil cannot stand in front of wisdom and renunciation. If we inculcate wisdom and renunciation, we are able to conquer the dushpravritti that comes in our minds also. We are able to conquer our minds completely. We are able to attain that mastery, and this is the true tapasya that is being expected in the path of spirituality. And therefore, they also die. Then we reach the climax of the story where Ravan, Dashanan, enters.